Hello. I'm seeing a lot of people are wearing different types of masks out there to keep coronavirus out of your system. So I just want to give you a quick few pointers on them. This here is an N95 mask. I only have one because I use these for training and stuff like that. So this is one that I've used previously, like when I'm out in the garage sanding and stuff like that. So I'm not wearing this one out in public. So if I'm touching it, it's just for the purpose of the demonstration here. But when people put them on, if you take your mask and you put it on like this, and it's on, you got your straps on, and then I take it off and I put it up here, or when I take it off, I rub up on my hair, or I'm wearing it and I put it down on my chin like this. Let's say I go to the store and I'm in the store, I make my transactions, and I go out to my car and I don't want it on in my car, so I take it off and put it like this, something like that. Everything that was on my neck, because viruses float around, you got the water, the droplets in the air that it's in. Now I just rubbed all that virus inside my mask. So when I put it on, now that mask did nothing for me to protect me, right? Same thing with my hands, right? So I'm at the store, I do my transaction, change money, touch product, whatever, and I touch my mask, I put it back on. See where my fingers went? So I put my fingers inside my mask and I pulled it up. Anything that was on my fingers is now inside my mask, and therefore my mask is offering no protection. So I just wanted to give some pointers here for people that do choose to wear them. Another thing, masks that have this little vent on them, what that's for is to make it a little bit easier to breathe, so it's cooler in the mask, so all the air that you're exhaling, rather than going through the fabric or through the filtering media, is coming out this little rubber diaphragm, right? So see if we can see that when I put it on. Right, so when I breathe out, the air goes through there. So if I'm wearing this mask because I think I might be infected, or I want to protect somebody else around me, because let's say I'm out in public and I have an elderly parent I care for or something like that, and I come back into my house and I'm wearing this around the house to protect them in case I was exposed, what's happening is everything I breathe out is going straight through that little diaphragm rather than getting filtered out. Because how these protect other people if you're potentially exposed is it catches all the droplets that come out with the moisture in your air, or if you sneeze and stuff like that, right? It catches that rather than allowing it to float around the air. So what's happening is I think I'm protecting them, but that air is coming straight out that little diaphragm and going right into the air, just like if I was breathing without a mask. So any mask with that little diaphragm on it isn't going to do anything to filter the air that you're breathing out, right? So anytime you're wearing it, if I'm out in public, I get home, I take my mask, I set it down on the counter. Anything that's potentially on here, now on the counter, and it's cross-contaminating. So you want to be aware of that. Also, you're not supposed to just leave masks out. So if you're wearing it for your work, let's say in my case, I'm a screener. I'm a screener at a work site, so I'm checking on employees, checking their temperature and stuff like that. I actually use a half mask respirator because I can use alcohol wipes and wipe the whole thing down. So where I touch, I can wipe that off and make sure I'm not cross-contaminating anything. But so let's say I took my mask and I put it in here like this, so that stuff wasn't floating into it. Well, that's great, except for the fact that everything that was on here now ends up in here, and that virus can kind of migrate around a little bit. So just something to consider there. So anyway, just really be considerate about that cross-contamination. Where you touch your mask, is it sliding around your face? When you take it off, do you rub it up along your hair? And then when you put it back on, it rubs down and stuff like that. If I'm doing that, that virus is migrating all over. Do these masks filter out the virus? Yes, to an extent. They can still get through. They are very small. The other thing, I'm not an expert on viruses or anything like that. But from what I've seen, coronavirus, the reason it gets that name is the corona or the crown. Those little pokey things we see when we see pictures of it, And my understanding is that's kind of like what a cockle burr does. That's why when you breathe breathe that virus in, that virus is very efficient at sticking into your lungs, into your air passages and stuff like that, and spreading throughout your system. So my understanding is that actually makes it a little easier to filter because it is a sticky virus. It's sticking to the filtration that you're using. So that's kind of holding it in to keep it from migrating it, through the filter and into your air passages, so you're not breathing it in. However, when you touch it, you are still spreading that virus around if there is any of that virus on your mask. So just something to be aware of, to make sure that if you're wearing this for your protection or the protection of people around you, that you're keeping some of these things in mind. A lot of people don't realize what that diaphragm actually does. All it is just a little one-way valve, make it a little easier for you to breathe. Let's see if I can got something here to kind of give you a close-up here. Right, all that is just a little rubber valve. I'm pushing a pencil through it to make it a little cooler, easier for me to breathe. Right, so any of your masks that have this little knob on them, that's exactly what that is. So be safe, understand the limitations of what you're using and how to use it safely, and don't use this as a means of feeling more secure than you actually are. So for some people, they get that sense of security. They have a mask and they think because they have that mask that they can do a lot more than they can, or that they're completely protected when they're not. All right, so keep those limitations in mind and just do what you can to prevent the spread of it. If you are wearing a mask, just kind of use some sense there with how that virus can migrate around that mask and get through it that way. All right. Everybody have a good day. If you have any questions about PPE or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer questions. All right. Bye.